Surviving Act 3 of Hollow Knight Silksong can be very challenging. However, the right build will have us feeling nearly unstoppable. This guide will cover all the components of such a build, how the build works, and how to go about getting all of those build components. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. First, let's cover the different components of the build and how they all click together. The core of the build is the Architect Crest with the Druid's Eyes and Plasmium Vial tools, along with the Plasmium Gland upgrade for it, which is only obtainable in Act 3. Architect allows us to overload on the Plasmium by regenerating our tools away from the bench, and this leads to health that automatically recovers over time. Meanwhile, the Plasmium Gland makes it so that we have an unlimited reserve of Plasmium Vials so long as we have the shell shards to supply it, and there is a reason why this is not as much of an issue in Act 3. One of the major challenges in Act 3 are what basically amount to dream nail fights from the first Hollow Knight, where we enter into a dream or memory to face a challenge. Any resources that are consumed during these challenges are then restored upon exiting the dream, so if we go in fully stocked on shell shards, we can use as much as we want without issue. So long as we either lose or win, we will get those shell shards back after exiting the challenge. It seems like saving and quitting out mid-challenge will result in the loss of any shards used though, so don't do that. In any case, having the Plasmium Gland means that we are only limited in vial uses by the amount of shards that we have, so we can use them much more often than if we didn't have that gland. That's a good thing because while we are overloaded on Plasmium, using another vial heals us for 1 mask, which is the same amount as a normal healing bind will while also in that state. With the Architect Crest and max tool pouch size, we can then generate 6 vials per crafting bind, effectively allowing us to heal up to 6 times per bind. We can also do it 1 mask at a time, which is a lot more versatile than 3 masks at a time. Meanwhile, the upgraded Druid's Eyes tool will give us what basically amounts to 1 silk spool per instance of damage received. That means 9 or 10 hits of damage against us gets us 1 bind to regenerate our tools, and each one of those can heal us for 6 masks of health. When we add in that our overloaded Plasmium masks regenerate over time, we pretty much don't even need to deal any damage to generate enough silk for binding and keeping us alive. This is especially true when we consider platforming sections of the game whenever there is a way for us to get hurt by a trap or spikes. We aren't in any danger, and we can basically just hurt ourselves to generate silk, then wait a little while to heal back up to full. It completely trivializes just about any lengthy platforming section where time is not a factor. So that is the core of this build and what gives it great survivability. That wouldn't matter much though if we couldn't also put out damage effectively, so now let's get to that part of the build, which benefits heavily from the Memory Crystal and Wispfire Lantern tools. As mentioned, this build allows us to get hit a lot and keep on going. Meanwhile, the Memory Crystal weaponizes our taking of damage, dishing it back out to enemies. Since we are also generating tons of silk with this build, it's also absolutely no problem at all to keep the Wispfire Lantern powered up, which will passively spawn wisps to seek out and damage enemies. The other tools in the build are not nearly as important, but the Magnetite Dice are great for any build, as they just give us a chance to avoid taking damage altogether. I also really like the Cogflies and Tacks. The Cogflies are great for crowd control, and the Tacks deal massive damage to bosses that run along the floor of their arena. The result also speaks for itself. Using this build, I was able to complete the Crust King Memory or Dream Gauntlet on my first attempt, and I don't consider myself to be particularly skilled at this game. The build just makes it hard to lose. With the components of the build and how they all work together covered, now let's go about getting them. We'll start with the Druid's Eyes tool, which is one of the most important parts. For that, we'll need to collect all 7 Mossberries in the game and deliver them to the Moss Druid. There are 2 in Moss Grotto and 1 in a hidden chamber just beneath the Druid. With just those 3, we can complete the berry picking quest and get the lesser version of this tool, the Druid's Eye. We won't be able to get all remaining berries until Act 2 after acquiring Double Jump. The 4th berry is found up and to the east from the Chapel of the Wanderer. The 5th is floating above Bone Bottom, and Mossberry number 6 is found through a breakable wall down in Weavenest Atla. Finally, Double Jump will allow us to get up and into the Memoriam region where we can find the 7th Mossberry. We'll need to then speak with the Moss Druid multiple times. In addition to getting a chunk of rosaries, we will also get the Druid's Eyes tool, which is twice as good as the lesser version. For the Plasmium Phial, we will need to complete a short quest for Zylotol. To reach him, we'll need to move west from the Marrow Bellway until we reach the stone door that requires a simple key to open. It's across the gap above the Bone Bottom settlement and past the chamber guarded by the Craggler mini-boss. We'll need to use a simple key to open this door into the Wormways. Once inside, we'll move to and through the top west passage. Going up and east in the next chamber until we reach a wall, then going up and a short distance west will bring us to Zylotol. Speaking with him multiple times will start the Alchemist's Assistant quest. To complete it, we need to sit at the nearby bench and equip the Needle Vial tool. We can then go down into the Wormways to collect our Plasmium samples. The first is a short distance down and to the west of Zylotol. We can then drop down from here and move into the lower west passage. The next passage to go through from there is the first one that can be seen down into the east. The second Plasmium sample can then be found a short distance further down into the east, just above the entrance to Bonegrave. We'll then need to enter a new chamber up and to the west. Moving west as much as possible and breaking through a false wall will quickly take us to our final Plasmium sample. We can then just save and quit to the main menu and log back in to warp back to the bench we last rested at, which should be next to Zylotol. After completing the quest, we'll need to speak with him a couple of times to get our Plasmium Vial tool. Make sure to go up and to the east from here to open the shortcut, as it makes return trips to Zylotol much faster. While we can make the build with just this, it's a huge hassle to have to return here constantly to refill our reserve of Plasmium, and it severely restricts the usefulness of the build. That's where Act 3 changes everything by fixing that problem. After starting Act 3, we can immediately make our way back to Zylotol and speak with him multiple times to start the Advanced Alchemy quest. We'll then need to collect 10 samples of plasmified blood from the enemies in this area. The plasmid that spawns down to the east of Zylotol is an easy source, and we can just run back to the bench near Zylotol after each sample we get to respawn the plasmid. Within a few minutes, we should have our 10 samples. After completing the quest, Zylotol will give us his Plasmified Gland, which serves as an endless reserve of Plasmium. Now it only takes shell shards to reveal our vials. The Architect Crest allows us to regenerate Plasmium vials while away from the bench, which is critical as it allows us to use enough of them in a row to actually overload on Plasmium and get the Plasmified health masks. To get the Architect Crest, we need to have at least 25 tools, then buy the Architect's key from the Architect in the Underworks. We can then unlock the vault with it up and to the west of her, where we can bind to the crest. I have a complete guide on how to get that crest, which includes the location of 31 different tools, so more than enough to complete the job. I'll leave a link to that guide near the bottom of this video's description. Now let's cover the secondary tools for our build. The memory crystal is easy, and it's behind the breakable wall in a secret compartment east of the first bench that can be reached during the ascent up Mount Fay. Many people will already have gotten it on their first trip up, but it's very easy to reach this spot with double jump for those that have not gotten it yet. Next is the Wispfire lantern. We'll need to defeat a boss that can be challenging, but we will start this part by getting an offensive tool that makes it almost trivial. If you already have the Voltvessels, you can skip ahead. For everyone else, we'll make our way up and into the Memoriam once more, this time going to the Volt Nest region. There's a secret chamber that we can jump up into from where the Materium is acquired. To the east of it is a small lab, and after defeating literally 2 enemies, we can pick up the Voltvessels tool. These are super cool as they can be switched between a bola and spear form. For our purposes, we will want it in spear form. To get the Wispfire, I recommend using either the Reaper or Wanderer crest, as well as the Spear Voltvessels and Magma Bell. We'll then need to make our way up to the Wisp Thicket, starting from the Greymoor halfway home. If you don't have the nearby lift unlocked, you will need to take the long way that goes west, then up, and then east to activate it. If you know how to reach the Wisp Thicket, then feel free to skip ahead, but for everyone else, here's the way. We can rest at the Wisp Thicket bench to make any potential runbacks faster, then move west until reaching a large boss chamber. We'll need to defeat the Father of Flame for our prize. Fortunately, I've worked out a winning strategy. We can start by pogoing between the 4 Wisp Lanterns to damage them evenly. This will ensure that they are all destroyed at around the same time. That's a good thing because the summoning speed of wisps is increased for each one destroyed, so we want to do our best to destroy all 4 in quick succession. This is normally where we then have to worry about phase 2 mechanics. Instead, we can just throw down as many Voltvessels as possible, absolutely nuking the Father of the Flame into oblivion. When defeated, he drops the Wispfire Lantern tool for us to pick up. Finally, let's cover the Magnetite Dice real quick. In Act 1, we'll need to play a game with Lumble the Lucky to win them. He's found down and west of the Blasted Step spellway. To win the game, we'll need to hold the input for rolling the dice for about 5 seconds until they flash on screen. If we let go of the input at that precise moment, we will always win. Otherwise, we'll still have a 50-50 shot at winning. Once we've won all 40 of Lumble's rosaries off of him, he will give us the Magnetite Dice as a reward. If we come here in Act 2, Lumble will be dead and we can just pick up the dice for free. If we come here in Act 3, the dice will be missing and instead we'll need to go up a couple of levels and purchase them off of Grindel at a premium. With all of those items, we should be able to craft this build that is extremely tanky and dishes out absurd amounts of damage. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in the comments where I will do my best to help. If you want to see more great content, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day if you're here today, have a great Monday, and a great week. And as always, thanks for watching.